Bill.
Hi, I'm Carrie, and this is our tiny house in Cocoa, Florida. We've owned our tiny home for 2 years, and it is 24 feet by 8.6.
We're in Cocoa, Florida at Peacewind Development, and we have 2 tiny home lots, which we purchased 2 years ago for $57,000 each. The reason we selected these 2 is that they were more centrally located. They also already had the concrete was done, the infrastructure was in. It was pretty much plug and play, ready to go.
We have 3 tiny houses on 2 lots. The main tiny house we stay in and live in when we are here. The center tiny house we use as my office as well as our closet. And the third white tiny house we use for overflow for guests or friends that come to visit.
On the outside of the house, we built a few amenities for ourselves that we enjoy. One is a fire pit, another one's a deck, and we also did the whole front maintenance free. It's basically a ground cover so that there's not very much work involved out front. So carport canopy, sunshade, fenced in yard for our dogs.
That's it on the outside. Let's go take a look at the inside.
Hello, welcome to our tiny home. So roughly 200 square feet.
So starting with the kitchen, here's some of the things that I love about this kitchen. It has an open concept, so there's no cabinetry. Everything is right here where you need it, within arm's reach, but again, it's not closed up, it's totally open. We've got a whole lot of nice counter space here. This is a gas stove, so if we decide that we do want to cook, we can cook stovetop. And there's also a full oven as well, which is great, so you have the ability to cook full meals. So I did not want this giant, stovetop sitting here that was not usable. So I had this bamboo cutting board made for it just so that I could use this functionally for preparing food, putting things here, whatever I need to do. So this vent is just a ventilation vent, which is great so that when you're cooking, you're not filling up the house with grease or smoke or setting off the fire alarms. It actually ventilates it and pulls it right out. It's got a couple of different speeds, pulls it all right outside. Lots of space to prepare food, to lay things out, whatever it is that you want to do. Same thing over here, microwave, coffee maker. But again, I really like the space aspect of it. I like being able to move around. I like being able to have full use of a kitchen, but still in a tiny environment. And there is no dishwasher, but that actually doesn't bother me too bad because I've got this great, huge double sink. So that makes a big difference for me as well. Here we've got a full-size fridge and freezer. And this is great little pantry just for food so that you can, kind of store, food items or pantry items in there as well. There's no dining room, obviously traditional dining room, but here it's so seasonably nice. We sit on the deck when we eat outside anyway. But one of the other things that I really liked about this house was there's dual lofts, but the steps have built-in cubby holes and kind of open cabinetry underneath both of the steps. So it makes it really nice for storing different items, but they still appear nicely. We have 2 chocolate labs. So we have a small fenced-in backyard, and we put in a doggy door for them, so they like to come in and out when they're here. Right now at our primary home, we have several doggy doors and we have fenced-in yards. So we don't really need to walk them. They have the freedom to come in and out at their own leisure. This is a much different environment for them because obviously it's much smaller. You're dealing with a 90-pound dog and a 70-pound dog, adding them into 200 square feet with people. So for us, it made sense. We closed in and fenced in just a small area of the backyard. We really didn't need a huge spot. We wanted to give them something. And then we put in the same doggy door that we have at home. We kind of cut out the wall and had my husband installed that here as well so that they could have that freedom.
Winter is here and cozy season is in full force. So I'm thrilled to be partnering with Bombas to show off my new ultra comfy socks. Want to join me in getting your cozy on? Choose a pair of their dreamy merino wool socks. Features naturally temperature regulating properties to keep your tootsies cool when it's hot and warm when it's not. So they're comfy all year round. Slide into any season with Bombas Friday Slides. They're light as a cloud, yet still supportive. Looking to travel somewhere tropical? Well, these bad boys are beach ready. Did you know Bombas has donated over 150 million essential clothing items across their network of over 3,500 giving partners in all 50 states? Feel good and do good with Bombas, knowing your purchase is doing some real good. New customers get 20% off their first purchase. Just go to bombas.com/tinyhouse and use our code tinyhouse at checkout.
Coming down further in the living room, again, these are kind of the cubby storage under the steps. So usually it's myself, my husband, and our 14-year-old daughter that is here. We do have other children that sometimes come down, and it is enough space. It works out just fine for us. The cubbies provide just enough storage. So there are two large drawer cubbies here that we do put blankets in or extra linens that we would need to. But otherwise, we really just use this storage area as needed. There's nothing really that permanently stays here. If our daughter is staying here, for example, she doesn't use the closet separately like we have. She just likes to stick her clothing into a bin. If we go on the other side, this is a full-size couch. It has dual recliners on both sides. Originally, when we purchased it, it came with a very small love seat that was, a small love seat, not even kind of a standard love seat. It was kind of like an RV size love seat. And that was here. And then we had a very small desk to the left. And it just really wasn't functional for us. We decided that we really don't need a full traditional living room, but when we're here relaxing, we wanted more space. We wanted to be able to put our feet up. So it is a little tight if we put the recliners up the whole way, but it's not like there's a lot of traffic moving back and forth. So it's really not been an issue for us. There is a TV. We don't really watch TV much, but if she wanted to, she could watch. And there's also TVs upstairs as well that we pretty much don't have cable. We just stream everything. So everything that she would have at home, she has here. So this has a Pioneer mini split and had it when we purchased it. Unfortunately, we had a leak. Came to find out that we would need to replace this mini split. So in order to do that, we would be looking at ripping out the inside and the outside of this wall. We were really faced with a decision on how we wanted to handle that. We don't really need heat, but we definitely need air in Florida. What was best for us at this point in time was just to buy an air conditioning unit. So we put one in, we fit it into a window up here. It cools the entire tiny home. I can control it from a remote control, or I can actually control it from my phone. So that was a $250 fix as opposed to a $5,000 fix. I am originally born and raised in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, suburb in Harrisburg outside of Hershey, PA, and moved to the Delaware beaches about 15 years ago. We kind of just made a decision to change the quality of life that we had and kind of stop the hustle. And it was kind of like the first step in a number of steps, but that was really the first big move that we made. But at that point in time, I worked full-time for another company, and my husband was self-employed. He was a contractor and had a contracting company.
It's a hustle every day. So the idea of Delaware was to downsize the first hustle, and the idea of the tiny house is to downsize to the rest of the way.
Well, when we left Pennsylvania, we had a 5,000 square foot house, and we moved into a 2,200 square foot house. And that was kind of the first big step for us. Yeah, we really have figured out, and we actually tell our kids this, is that less is more. Less is absolutely more, because you're not strapped. You can live simple and still have everything you want. But they're getting it. Right now we are primarily still in the Delaware beaches. We have a home there. We have 5 children. 3 of those children are grown out of the house, have children of their own. We are in Florida anywhere from a week to 10 days a month. And we obviously just leave a car here. Flights are extremely cheap. We don't even drive anymore. We just hop on a cheap flight. It's actually cheaper than you would spend in gas to drive here, and you're here in 2.5 hours for us. It's a direct flight. So we're here pretty regularly. I have an office here, so for me, it's just like coming to another location to work. So my companies are, one's in Florida, one's in Delaware, and I do website design, website development. I do Google ranking and SEO. I do digital marketing. Yeah, I basically sell and install wood stoves, pellet stoves, electric fireplaces, that sort of thing. And the goal is to be here full-time, but one of our children, our fourth child, is 17, and she's a junior in high school, and she is very happy. So we don't want to disrupt her. We want to support her and her education, and basically when she graduates, that's the plan, is we'll either sell our home in Delaware or rent it, whatever is right at that time for us, and then relocate here. So if we go through the living room into the bathroom, this is my favorite part of the bathroom, and this was just a little makeup desk or vanity that we put in. So what we did basically was we just installed into the wall, this is like a desk, and it actually folds. We could take this down to half size if we wanted to, or leave it full size, but we used this primarily for, girls stuff like doing your hair, doing your makeup. And then there provides a little shelf underneath. There's a little bit of storage as well for all those products. I'm sure that every woman we have tons and tons of products. So it provides a nice place to keep those, tucked away, not in the way, but still very, very accessible for everybody. You can see there was a bar. This was set up to be a closet, but for me, it just made a lot more sense in a bathroom to change it to have this kind of use instead. There's a full-size shower here, plenty of space, tiny little sink, but again, that doesn't really bother me because I'm doing everything that I'm doing at this vanity or at this makeup desk. So I'm really just, brushing my teeth here or washing my face or something like that. This is just a little gadget we put on the front here, which has these metal tins, which is nice for if you're doing your hair. Girls use all these hot hair products and you don't want to set them down or anything. So we kind of just installed this on the front so it gives you a place to set hair dryers or hot curling irons or anything like that. Again, just trying to utilize what space that we have. Over here, there's all kinds of different toilets that you can put in a tiny home or put in a camper, but we really wanted a real toilet. Again, just kind of like a little rack for storage space there. This bathroom also has, like the kitchen, a ventilation fan, which is nice. Where you can flip a switch, and if you're taking a shower, it takes all the moisture out and sends it outside. So that's really great because obviously if you're in a small confined space, it's not something that you want to deal with. So it's a great feature that they put in here as well. And then behind the door, there is a all-in-one washer and dryer unit. Other people have probably used these. These are very, very common in tiny homes, or other tiny home has one of these as well. If you're doing comforters and big things, wouldn't want to use this. Obviously, you go to a laundromat. But for everyday use, if you're running a load a day, no problem whatsoever. I mean, it's certainly efficient enough to handle that. It really just kind of sits in this corner, and it's a great use of the space as well. And again, this is just kind of some extra overflow of toiletries and women's products that we put there as well.
And let me show you the last part of our tiny home space, and that would be the lofts. The first loft here is a king-size loft. It has a built-in headboard. There are 2 night lights in the back as well as 2 overhead lights. We have a TV that we use for streaming videos or sports events, and also a circulation fan that has plenty of electrical outlets along with USBs. And we do have nightstands because everybody has iPhones, so you got to have nightstands so that you have somewhere to sit your bottle of water, that sort of thing. Actually, a pretty comfortable bed up here. You get a pretty good night's sleep on here. The window's open, so it doesn't get too hot up here at all. It's well insulated and lots of airflow. Now we'll go over and check out the other king-size loft. This is our daughter's loft. The only difference over here is there's not an actual oscillating fan here, but it is the same setup as our loft. She really doesn't say much about it, and she's the 5th child, so she's kind of used to all of her other siblings, being in her business and, not having any privacy, so to speak. But she looks at it almost like we did when we were younger, as this is like her little fort. And it's kind of that way with us in our loft, it's like your little fort, your little, it brings back a little sense of childhood when you get up in those lofts.
So this one was built by a company called Tiny Home Builders in Virginia. We did not have this built. Someone else had this built, and this person had it delivered to South Dakota and did not check out any of the zoning requirements. And much to her dismay, when it arrived, she thought she was going to be living in it and couldn't. And she tried everything she could to work around it and just could not. We purchased this for $65,000. And she must have paid $89,900, I think the advertisement said, plus delivery and everything else. Then the second tiny home, it looks like a log cabin. That one came from Colorado. That one, again, I was on the internet.
That was a contractor build. It was built specifically for a fellow that was an author and a college professor.
Yep, that lived in it with his wife in
Lyons, Colorado.
It was a really
near
cool
Boulder.
little like tiny home town.
Yeah, there was a little tiny home village, but it was owned by one person. They rented lots.
Little like characteristic, like it was a really cool little area.
And it was eclectic. The whole tiny home village, they had grass roofs on some of them. It was wild.
Really neat.
It was wild.
I needed a office to run my business, and I needed a closet. As funny as that sounds, I needed a closet. I don't care about living room furniture or anything else, but I need a closet. So we were like, okay, not sure, try to figure out if we can find something small, to work out. Originally we had even just thought about a shed at one point in time. It didn't have to be a tiny home, but we knew, what money we had. And so that one popped up, and it popped up for $13,500. And then the third one that came last was the white tiny home. That one was privately built, and that one came from Mississippi. And what did we pay? Was it?
It was $35.
$35?
And it was built by a shop teacher in his class.
It was built by a shop teacher. Yeah, it was really neat.
We saw that advertised. I took my friend with me and I said, hey, I'm going to pick up your house. And he goes, what? So we go pick up his house, and he didn't understand. Then he came here with us and saw the tiny home community, put his house up for sale. Now his comes in 2 weeks, and he's living in what I called his house next door. Our friends stop in here, use our stuff, and if they're in between here and Key West or going somewhere, doing jobs, whatever, I'm like, hey, just stop in, stay for a night, no reason to spend.
Right, because the White House is really overflow for us. We don't rent it. When we come, we stay here in this house. But if we have family visiting, if we have friends visiting, even our kids sometimes like to be over there by themselves, then we kind of use it that way for overflow for people, and it's nice. So we have the three homes. It was 65, it was 13.5, and then it was 35.
Right.
And 2 lots, and we bought these lots 2 years ago. This is going on the 3rd year now, when they had first gone up for sale. So each lot was 57. And all of that was out of pocket. That was basically everything that we had, and
You can still go broke on a tiny home. You can still spend $300,000 for a lot and a tiny home. There's one right up the street. It's beautiful. It's not for me, but for that person who built that tiny home, it's beautiful. But for us, we're like, we need to watch our P's and Q's and watch our money and, basically invest in our future as retirement. Even her parents, they're almost 80. They come here and they're like, this just isn't for us. I'm like, yeah, when I get your age, it probably won't be for me either. But
a different floor plan might be.
Yeah.
This is what works for us. This is what mattered to us at this point in our lives.
We've thought about even getting older. You're looking at the sidewall here. We're like, how could we put an electronic bed in the sidewall that folds
or like a Murphy
down?
bed or something. So we're always thinking about.
But you're always thinking about age, physical ability, pricing. All those things matter. And a lot of people were impulse buyers were like, oh, that's pretty and shiny. But really, if people will just sit down and think, what do I need? What really do I need? That's how we ended up with these. You really have to look at what you're doing with the tiny house. Are you going to stay permanently somewhere? Are you going to travel all over the place with it?
But knowing going into this specifically what things mattered to us made a huge difference. So it was kind of capitalizing on finding a deal. So you kind of have to know, like if you're gonna jump right away, you have to be able to move quickly, transfer quickly. You gotta kind of have all your ducks in a row, have the money, but you gotta know what you're looking for. You know what I mean? So that when you see it, you're like, that's it, and that's exactly what we did with all of these.
It's count the costs of where you wanna be. You have to look at the future. You have to look at the builders.
Structurally, they're not all built the same. If you don't have the knowledge, then you need to have somebody with you that does, to be able to look at things structurally, to be able to look at how it's been built, to be able to look at the frame, to be able to look underneath it, all of those things, because aesthetically it can look great and you can, go in and it can be exactly what you want. But if it's not built properly, then you've, wasted your money in essence. So if you don't have that ability, you need to have somebody with you that does, that knows what they're looking for and knows those key.
And remember, these are confined spaces. So in the confined space, there's a possibility of mold, especially in wet areas or cold areas. It needs to be built properly with ventilation, the proper windows. We've seen the RVs built in today's standards and we're like, wow, you can take your finger and put it through the wall.
Yeah, this is built like a home.
These are built like homes.
This neighborhood is very unique. The flavor of people that are here have, a number of principles in common, a number of things that they've chosen for their lives in common. There's a lot of respect for other people. Like, you can have totally different views. There's people on totally opposite ends of the spectrum here, and everybody gets along great. We have neighborhood get-togethers. I've never ever seen an issue at all. And like we said, we were here in the beginning and a number of people have moved in since, and that flavor has been maintained. I know Jinky background checks. I know she does thorough investigation, of people, because she's worked very hard to make it that type of community, and that absolutely matters to us. Our expenses monthly, we figured out the taxes for each lot. Because again, we purchased the lots, we purchased the tiny homes, so we have the taxes on each lot and then all the utilities. It comes out to be about $150 a month that I have to worry about, which is nothing. And thankfully my business, it's not physically demanding, I can work from anywhere, so it puts us in a great spot. That's literally my favorite thing, is being able to live the lifestyle I am used to and want to enjoy and not have to worry about paying for it.
Thank you for watching our video and for stopping by Tiny House Expedition. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Christian. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
And for more tiny home tours and stories, click the videos below.
And join us on Instagram for bonus content,
including face-to-face conversations with us. We hope to see you there.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good one.